Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And as you guys know, I review a lot of activewear on this channel, and most of the materials tend to be like a polyester spandex, a nylon spandex, synthetic type materials, because those have shown to be great for activewear. They're sweat wicking, they're durable. Depending on how they're knit, they can also be very breathable. But recently I've been getting more and more requests to try some natural fiber activewear for you guys. So that is what we're doing today, and I love a video where I learn more about things, and through the process of this video, I definitely learned a lot more about textiles, different fibers, how things are made. So stay tuned for some fun information. So I looked at a lot of different brands that say they make natural fiber activewear. And when we think of natural fibers, we're thinking of things like cotton, specifically organic cotton, which we'll get into. But there's also merino wool and bamboo viscose, which isn't always completely natural. Again, we'll get into that. So like I said, I did a lot of research and looked into a lot of brands from either like websites, forums of people who like to wear natural fibers for maybe certain skin conditions. And also some of you guys messaged me and had some brands you wanted me to look into. So I have 4 brands we'll be reviewing today, and I'll give a little summary of each of them in terms of like their values, certain certifications that they have, what fibers they use, sustainability. Definitely I feel like natural fibers and sustainability go hand in hand. So a lot of these brands had a good section of their website on how they're trying to make activewear more sustainable. But first, let's go into why choosing a natural fiber activewear. So like I briefly mentioned, number one, sustainability. It definitely seems like these brands who are doing more natural fiber activewear are also focusing on sustainability. I will always say to not believe everything you see on these websites. There is a lot of greenwashing out there. Brands basically making you think that they're sustainable when actually they're not. But unfortunately, the answers are not always out there. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. I've seen conflicting information on a lot of these things. And if you have any expertise in the area, feel free to leave comments. So like I was saying, natural fibers definitely can be more sustainable. The number one thing is natural fibers are biodegradable as opposed to like a polyester or a nylon, which are synthetic and just kind of contribute to the plastic waste. Certain fibers biodegrade faster than others, but when we're talking about things like cotton and merino wool, those are completely natural fibers. And looking into a lot of these brands, I learned more about organic cotton as well. And a lot of these brands are certified organic cotton, which certifies that they're treating the soil better, often have more ethical treatment of the workers, more responsible labor practices, and reduced water usage compared to non-organic cotton. So that was like one of the big things I saw was this reduced water usage. Again, I did see some conflicting information on that in terms of how much water it's saving, but another reason people may choose a natural fiber is if you have certain skin conditions, you're very sensitive to chemicals. If you're avoiding irritating your skin, most of these natural fiber activewear brands avoid using harsh chemicals in the clothing. And I think in general, people are just being a little more conscious of their plastic usage. So if any of those things interest you, we got some natural fibers today. So let's get into a little bit more about cotton as an activewear material. I will say, I feel like I started getting requests for this video probably like a year ago, and I was like, guys, we are just not gonna like the options out there. So I wanna take everyone's standards and just bring them down a little bit, because personally, as an activewear girly, I just don't see cotton being a good material to do a lot of exercise in. A big pro cotton has is that it is breathable, but cotton is not a sweat wicking material and it holds onto a lot of water. So unlike a polyester or a nylon activewear blend that actually is sweat wicking, as you sweat, it draws in that sweat and then allows it to evaporate. So it's sweat wicking, it's getting rid of that sweat. Cotton really holds on to the water weight. Cotton activewear can also not be as pilling resistant. I feel like I saw a lot of websites talking about fabrics saying that, but not all polyester and nylon spandex materials are durable. It really just depends on the exact blend. So I found some little summaries about different fibers you could choose for your activewear online. So generally cotton is seen as natural, breathable, soft against the skin, not irritating, but it absorbs a lot of moisture, so it may not be good for super high impact sweaty activities. Then we have polyester. Polyester spandex is a very common blend for activewear. It may not be quite as breathable as cotton, but has really good sweat wicking and durability properties. And then you have nylon, very similar to polyester. Both nylon and polyesters are synthetic fibers, so basically they're made from like variations of plastics to make these long fibers that resemble something like a natural fiber, but they're made via a chemical process. Nylon, again, similar to polyester in the sweat wicking properties, tends to be a little bit stretchier. This is definitely something I noticed. I feel like my nylon spandex activewear tends to be a little bit lighter weight. Personally, I generally prefer a nylon spandex. Then you actually have the elastane or the spandex, which gives material their stretch. So even with these natural fiber activewear brands, they're predominantly a natural fiber, but they are blended with an elastane or spandex. Spandex spandex is just the brand name. This adds the stretch to the garment. So at first when we were looking at natural fiber activewear, I was like, are we talking 100% cotton? Because I used to have 100% cotton leggings like in high school, and those things were sheer and had zero stretch and they were just awful. So I'm glad that they are mixed with some spandex just to make them a little bit more functional. But it should be mentioned that spandex is a synthetic fiber. So very small percentage and kind of necessary if you want these things to be in activewear and have some form-fitting stretch capabilities, but they're not 100% natural. And then some other fibers we'll be talking about today. Bamboo viscose is getting a lot more popular, which is a little bit different than the Tencel lyocell. I'll get into that when we talk about our bamboo brand, but bamboo viscose is like partially synthetic, not 100% natural, but the Tencel lyocell is considered natural. Like I said, guys, there's a lot of nuance to this. There's also rayon, which is commonly seen in more mainstream activewear as well. It is a semi-synthetic fiber made from cellulose, so from like wood and things like that. Very similar to the bamboo viscose, except usually made from different wood sources. And then lastly, you have merino wool, which is a very breathable, soft, temperature regulating fabric made from the wool from sheep, but it's not like heavy, thick wool that you think of like, you know, wool socks and things like that. It's very soft, but may not be super durable. All right, I hope that was educational and not too boring, but let's get into the brands. Starting out with the brand that I definitely seen the most about, this is Mate, the label. This is also the brand I have the highest hopes for because they definitely had the largest variety of activewear. It honestly was not that easy to find natural fiber activewear. And before anyone says anything, they all have front seams. So I'm probably not gonna really love a lot of these, but you know, pros and cons. So first of all, their packaging is all in this like paper cardboard. So it is recyclable, biodegradable. It says this mailer is made from 100% recycled paper with 70% post-consumer waste and is curbside recyclable. So the company also does have some certifications. It's a certified B Corp. And I think most of the companies today are certified B Corp. So just to give you some more information about that, a B Corporation is for a for-profit company and basically just certifies that they meet certain standards in terms of social and environmental practices, transparency, and kind of just aiming to be like a good company. And I think the transparency is really important. All of the websites from these brands have a lot of information on them. A little bit more about Mate. I also should say, this video is not sponsored. None of these brands know that I'm doing this. I bought it all myself. I'm just giving you the information that I feel like may be helpful if you're interested in sustainability and certain practices. So Mate uses organic materials and non-toxic dyes. They also design a lot of seasonless styles so that you can get a lot of use out of these pieces. That's honestly a huge way to be sustainable, is just wear pieces that you have. They aim to create very safe, fair working environments from all levels of the company. It's also a woman-founded, woman-run company, which I always love supporting. They're also plastic-free. They've eliminated plastic from all of their labels, packaging, and they do acknowledge here that there is 8% spandex in their activewear, but that's significantly less than a lot of brands. They're also climate neutral certified, and their organic cottons are GOTS certified. That's like the main certifier of organic cotton that I've learned from doing this video. And another thing I found interesting was on their website, for each of the pieces in the descriptions, they have a cost per wear little calculator thing. So like it'll say for 5 wears, it's $15.60, so $15 per wear. And if you wear it 50 times, it's only $1.50 per wear. Something you can do the math in yourself, but I think they're trying to show how much use you can get out of these pieces. Okay, I fear this video is going to be very long if we don't get started. So let's start with the organic stretch midi leggings. The price range for this brand is definitely a little bit on the higher side. These are an $88 legging. Size range, extra small to 3XL, so pretty good range. The leggings are made of GOTS certified organic cotton, and it's 92% organic cotton, 8% spandex. And it also says where they're made. They are made in India. So first impressions, it's been a while since I've held a cotton legging. We will also be squat testing, and maybe I need to do like a little water sweat test simulator too, because I'm just not sure how much sweat this is going to hold on to. So we just have a classic legging waistband here. It's a double thickness. There is a seam at the top of the waistband, so you may get some cutting in. This is why I said keep your standards low. I feel like a lot of these natural fiber activewear brands, they're creating leggings like 10 years in the past with like the front seams, straight across seams, top bands. They're just all kind of the same. And I feel like I wasn't really impressed with a lot of them, but I am gonna try to be fair, just letting you guys know that I'm not like super excited about the designs of most of these. Lots of neutral colors from this brand. So we have a front seam, we have a triangle gusset. These are a midi legging. Why I decided to get a midi legging, I don't know. Like I said, it was kind of slim pickings, but these are a 22.5 inch inseam. So essentially a capri, which we know I don't really like capris, but that's my fault. I'm not gonna fault them for that. No pockets or anything on these. And the material honestly just kind of feels like a stretch cotton t-shirt, maybe a little bit more tightly knit here. here, but normally on this channel I'm describing like brushed or performance material. It's not really either of those. It's just kind of, it feels more loungy to me. Here's an up close of the fabric. You can kind of see those little knit fibers in there. Does have some good stretch to it, so let's try it on. All right, here are the leggings. Actually, better than expected. These fit me very well, and the issues that I kind of thought I would have, I'm not really having. So anyways, these are a nice high rise. They're hitting right to the small of my waist, so I really love where these hit me. We have that double thickness waistband, and there is a top band, but it's just kind of keeping the leggings nice and secure at the top of my waist, and I'm not getting any digging in. So it's definitely a possibility, but it's not happening for me. I would say true to size, mostly if you're in between, you could really go either way. We do have a front seam, but it's causing minimal problems. So again, appreciating that. We have no side seam, and the seams do sit above the glutes in the back. Are they really helping the glutes in any way? No, but they're also not squishing me down. So solid medium on the booty scale, just a very different feel than normal leggings. It doesn't have that soft brushed feel or that sleek performance feel. Very much feels like just a cotton knit, except I do feel like it's doing a pretty good job of being semi-curve hugging. I have a little bit of extra fabric right at the front here, but they don't feel baggy and saggy. So honestly, if all the leggings fit like this in the video, I will actually be impressed. A little bit of cellulite coverage, just because this fabric is a little bit more dense, and the stretch is really not too bad. I'm really not getting a lot of tightness. I definitely feel it a little bit in my knees when I bend, but I don't think I would have any problems moving around in these leggings. Overall compression is about a medium. It's not really super compressive, but again, it's not saggy, which was my concern with the cotton leggings. I just wasn't sure how that would go. And then the full length view, these are that kind of midi length. I was actually expecting the length to be worse, but it's definitely a little bit above ankle length for me, but not too bad. And I'm kind of conflicted on the fabric feel. Like, it's not super soft, but I'm also not getting that like itchy legging feeling. I would say these leggings are actually pretty nice. I think the fit of them, even though there are some design elements that I would probably want to change, I think they're overall pretty flattering. So now we just need to see if cotton leggings really do sheer out like they used to. All right, for mate, in terms of the squat testing and the sweat, the squat test did not go very well. Unfortunately, cotton just is known to sheer out, and this was a light color. So with this lighter color, you could even see skin through the nude squat test. So again, not super confident working out in these. And the sweat test, it did show the water through instantly. And even after quite some time, it really didn't show any signs of drying. So again, not really buying these as like a workout legging. All right, next we have the organic stretch sports bra, and these are not plastic, by the way. They say I am not plastic on them. They're biodegradable and compostable, whatever they are, I'm not really sure. So this is the organic stretch sports bra. I got a size small, and this was $58. So again, higher price point here. And I will say, for it being a higher price point, even on the leggings, I'm getting some stitching poking out. We can see here, there are some strings poking out. Again, it's not a huge deal, but I just feel like some of the stitching is not super even along the garment. I was kind of noticing that in the leggings too. Like, if we're really nitpicking, it's not totally even along the stitching. So this is one of the more expensive options today. So I just kind of want to point that out. I think they could be maybe doing a little bit better. We have a scooped neckline, elastic band, no cuff pads or anything. I guess that makes sense because the foam is probably not a natural fiber, and that's important to this brand. A thick racer back, very, very basic sports bra for $58. I will say we do have some more affordable options today, but let's try it on. Okay. Here's the sports bra, and something about just doing the straps to be way too long because the band actually fits well. So I'd say it's mostly true to size, but I tried on the bodysuit first, and the straps are really long on that, and they're definitely long on this too. And even looking at the model on the website, she's wearing the sports bra like way down here, and I just hate that. It's like, if there's an under bust band, that's going under my bust. So not loving the fit of the sports bra. We have the double thickness material. Still can definitely get some nippage because there's no cut pads or anything. So you might need to put in your own covers or something like that, but the bottom band is secure. Again, it could use more lift here. Overall coverage, because this is just kind of like coming down a little bit, I'm gonna give it a low to medium. And the support is very low. So again, low impact workouts. Unfortunately, even with this sports bra, I wouldn't wear it to something like Pilates or solid core or something like that, because with this strap length, I would just be coming out of it. Scoops away from the armpits, and then we have a racer back. So again, overall just very basic. And listen, I love a basic sports bra, but I like a basic sports bra that fits and flatters, and I don't really feel like I'm getting a lot of that with this top. So it is comfortable, it's soft against the skin, I'm not getting any discomfort anywhere, but yeah, I wouldn't really be choosing this for really anything, even lounge. I just feel like I like a little bit more lift. And then I got the organic stretch unitard. This is size small and $88. So same price as the leggings, which I feel like it's kind of a better deal for one piece together. I decided to get the bodysuit because it had no front seam. So I was like, why can't the leggings have no front seam if we're gonna do it on the bodysuit? So we just have a classic scoop neckline, cotton material. The whole bodysuit is a double thickness of that cotton material. Above the waist, this whole top section is a double thickness, so it's 2 layers of that cotton material, but the bottom is a single thickness. 6-inch inseam, which is ideal. There's no built-in bra or anything in this, no elastic or anything. And then again, it's very minor, but I do feel like some of the areas where the seams come together are just not completely polished. So I just like to point that out, but let's try it on. All right. Here we are in the bodysuit. Honestly, feeling pretty good. So the top is a double thickness, no bra support. I threw in some cup pads, but if you are a larger bust, I definitely would recommend wearing a bra. It also is long torso friendly. I'm 5'9" with a long torso, and it actually fits quite well in torso length, except the straps are like incredibly long. And like, I have a very long torso, guys. And if the straps are long on me, what are they gonna be on everyone else? So I definitely could literally use like 2 inches off the straps. So I think this could definitely use some modifications. I'd say like medium coverage on the top. It probably would be better if the straps were tighter because it would come up a little bit higher. We have that kind of waist defining seam. I love that this has no front seam. I would have loved to see that on their leggings. Overall, about a low to medium compression. We have a 6-inch inseam. I love the length of this, and also really not squishing in at the thighs. The thigh seam definitely has a little bit of tightness at the end of it, but it's not squishing me down. And then the back has this really nice scooping back. We do have a seam up the glutes in the back, and then that waist seam again. I just feel like kind of breaks up a bodysuit. It makes it look a little bit better. In terms of booty scale, I'd say medium. It's not really helping, not hurting. The fabric is actually better than expected. Again, I think it's probably better suited for lounge and just not too high impact. But in terms of a bodysuit, if you just aren't looking for a lot of support, I really don't think it's bad. One thing I'll say is mostly true to size, but if anything, I think it could run a tiny bit big. I have just a little bit of looseness in the waist here, so if you're in between sizes, I would choose the size down. All right, the next brand we are looking at is a brand called Pact. I will say, when I was looking at their website to kind of get some information about them, it says that they've replaced all of their plastic packaging, but it still came in a plastic poly bag, so I wouldn't really say that there's no plastic packaging. The individually packaged pieces are in biodegradable bags, so very noisy bags. Not like that really matters. So anyways, a little bit about Pact. They have organic cotton. They're also GOTS certified like Mate. They're made in a fair trade certified factory, and they also claim to be carbon neutral as well. They use a website called Simply Zero to offset the carbon emissions, I believe by investing in more carbon neutral research, as well as planting trees. Again, sometimes I do get skeptical of like the buy your carbon neutrality websites. Like when you like buy a plane ticket and it's like, oh, pay this extra money to like make it carbon neutral. I'm like, I don't know if I believe you that that's what's really happening. But so like I said, take things with a grain of salt. Greenwashing can be a real thing. But this company is definitely very transparent about where the factory is, how everything is made. I really appreciate the transparency on their website. They also have a whole sustainability section where they talk about how many gallons of water have been saved with their farming practices. So definitely if you're looking for more info, I would check it out. So this brand is definitely intriguing to me because it is an organic cotton spandex blend. It is a 90% cotton, 10% spandex, so a little bit more spandex than Mate, but the prices are a lot more reasonable, and both of their factories are in India, so maybe similar there. So this is the on-the-go pocket legging. I got a size small and it's $44. Like I said, the composition is 90% GOTS certified organic cotton, 10% spandex. Size range is also a little bit better than Mate. We have extra, extra small to 3XL, so I love to see a really wide size range. And these are the leggings. They're looking a little bit wide. In terms of the feel of the material, very similar to Mate. We have that kind of densely knit cotton with some stretch to it. Here we are. Here is that close-up. You can see that cotton feel. and some good stretch. So I was definitely intrigued by the pocket leggings. I like that a lot of these brands had pocket leggings. If we want to be super critical of the seams, they're not quite perfect right in the back where all those seams meet. That seems to be a trend. But anyways, we have a double thickness waistband. We do have a top band as well, so that may cut in. Straight across waistband, front rise seam. We have a triangle gusset as well. Nice spacious side pockets. They have non-pocket versions, but I wanted to try the pocket. And then the seams are flat across in the back. And this is a 26.5 inch inseam. Let's try it on. Okay, I was nervous holding these up that the waist would be too big, and the waist is huge. And I just double checked the size chart because I was like, is this correct? And the size chart is just about the same as any other size chart I've ever seen from a brand where technically my waist is a little bit smaller than the small, but this is like more than just a little bit. And when it comes to my hips, I'm already at the larger end of a small, so kind of the size that I have to be. So I would definitely be sizing down in these, especially if you have a small waist, because this is the thing about some of these brands. I just feel like the fit is forgotten sometimes. So we'll do our best to review regardless of that. But these are hitting a little bit below my belly button, so more of a mid to high rise. We do have that top band, obviously not causing me any issues because it's not really touching me. We have the double thickness waistband. It's pretty short. And then we have the front seam, which is not causing me too many problems here. So again, it's not super tight, but actually is fitting across the thigh area. So I don't think it's a super invasive seam. We have these nice spacious side pockets, which is a great little feature. In terms of the material, I feel like these are not quite as soft as the mate, and I feel like they just kind of have that look that they are going to pill at some point. Again, that's not like a test that I've done, but just in my experience, the way that this has a slight fuzzy layer that's not brushed on top of it just makes me think it might pill a little bit more easily than the mate. Overall, about a medium compression, and then when it comes to the back, the seams do go above the glutes. Definitely more of a long glute friendly legging. It is quite high in the back compared to the front, so keep that in mind. A little bit of cellulite coverage, just again, because the fabric is a little bit thicker. Not a super lightweight fabric, especially with the addition of these side pockets. Probably wouldn't be a summer legging. And then here is the full length view, kind of an ankle length. I really wanted to like this brand because they were a little bit more affordable, but the mate leggings were just a little bit more flattering. I feel like even in a size down, I may not like these quite as much. Oh, look, Peach. You guys wanted to know how she's doing. We're taking her back to the vet this week for a little recheck, just to make sure she's okay. But so far, she's doing good. I just feel like overall these leggings, I'm just getting a little bit more bagginess, like even in the knee area and things like that. They're gonna be better in a size down, but just not really my favorite. All right, for Pact, in terms of sheerness, they definitely did sheer out, but it wasn't the worst today. I think it would still be okay with nude underwear. And the sweat was pretty similar to mate, except it feels a little bit thicker than the mate, so it didn't show quite as easily. It still showed very easily, but just not quite as easily as mate. And again, really held on to that sweat. They were sold out in some of the matching colors that I wanted, so I got the on-the-go crop tank size small, $34, and I got this in the black color. I don't know if they had just like a typical sports bra. I mostly saw like a tank legging set. So again, I'm not really sure they're advertising these to be for like your high impact workouts or if it's more for like low impact just because it is cotton. And we have a pinto appearance. How you doing, kid? You've been showing up in more videos lately. I try not to review black, but unfortunately that was the best I could do in my size. So it has a scoop neck here. It is 2 layers of that same organic cotton spandex. There's no built-in bra or anything, so you will have to wear a bra under this. I don't think the double layer fabric is going to be enough, and a racer back. And then the website is just very informative. It says organic cotton. It tells you how many gallons of water were saved. It says the carbon offset for the climate. It says the amount of pounds for carbon offset, and then it says the fair trade factory. It lists all the certifications and where it's made, so very transparent with the website. Let's try these on. All right, I guess this brand is just gonna be just not for my body shape, I guess. I'm a little bit more full in the glute area and the bust, and then slimmer throughout the waist. So the waist is huge in both the tops and the bottoms. So yeah, anyways, this is just a double thickness tank. I actually think the tank is great. I'm wearing the mate sports bra underneath because I didn't have another sports bra to put on. We have a scoop neck, full coverage, and I would consider this a cropped length. It is not quite waist length, but longer than bra length. I love that that it's just double thickness of the material. If you want some hold with this, I probably would size down. It is fitting snug along my bust area, but you can see it flares away. Like, why does it do that? Like, why would it flare so aggressively? Anyways, it flares away, so I think this whole brand runs just a little bit on the bigger side, so I'd probably consider sizing down. No built-in bra support, but it is nice that this has decent coverage that you could easily put a bra underneath it and not see it. And then we get the back, we have a little eraser back and just minimal branding, minimal going on. That was something to mention about both Mate and Pact, is I don't really see any branding. So I kind of like that, it keeps it simple. Also, just for the whole sustainability re-wearing, it's just nice to have pieces that don't have logos on them all the time. So yeah, would I consider this a workout top? It doesn't necessarily feel like it. The cotton just feels definitely a little bit thick and it would definitely hold on to quite a bit of sweat, but it's not bad. Our next company is Woolly, as in woolly mammoth, which I thought was really cute. I will say this did come in paper and plastic, so it did still come in a poly bag. I wanted to review a merino wool brand because I feel like merino wool is often seen for like hiking gear. You find it a lot at like REI and those places, but I don't often see it as advertised for like regular activewear. So a little bit about Woolly. They started as an underwear company because merino wool is known to be very breathable and very temperature regulating. Instead of having the GOTS certification, which is for organic cotton, they have the RWS Responsible Wool Standard. That basically their farmers and ranchers are evaluated for their treatment of the animals. Certain management and social requirements are set as well. So basically they treat their sheep well. I will say if you are vegan, obviously wool is not vegan because it's an animal product. And they also will give you store credit for your very worn pieces to encourage recycling of those pieces. So I thought that was a nice little benefit. And they also say that they aim to reduce a lot of plastic use, again, wool instead of polyesters, nylons, but also with their packaging. The way that this is tied on is one of those little like wrap things, and I have not seen something like this since like elementary school, when you have those folders that like tie like that. That was just like a little nostalgia moment. Okay, so we're gonna start with the women's everyday flex tank. I got a size small and their price range is a little bit up there as well. It's similar to Mate, but I do think that merino wool is a more expensive fiber than cotton. So I do feel like it's a little bit more justified. So I got a size small. Size range is extra small to 2XL. And for all of their pieces, they not only put the fabric composition, but they also put the microns of the merino wool, so the actual size of the fibers, as well as the GSM. So GSM is the grams per square meter. So it's a measure of how dense or heavy the fabric is. So I found that interesting because they have like a lighter one for the tops, heavier weight for the bottoms. So just really liked that transparency. So for this top specifically, it's a 360 GSM and 18.5 microns of the actual wool fibers. So here we are with the tank. We have a high neckline, tank straps, slightly scooping in the back, but not a true racer back. Looks like it's going to be kind of a waist kind of crop length. And this is a 95% merino wool, 5% elastane, but the merino wool definitely has a different feel than the cotton. It kind of looks similar to the eye, but it definitely has a softer feel and it's actually quite a bit stretchier, even though the spandex percentage is lower. Here's a close-up of that merino wool. Good stretch to it and has a nice soft feel. Seems like a common theme today that they all have a couple little stitching issues. Nothing crazy, but you know, nothing perfect either. This top does have a full built-in bra with an underbust elastic and it has space for cup pads, but they don't have cup pads. Again, I like when they include the cup pads, but I do understand that if they are kind of focusing on sustainability and like reducing waste, I get it. We've had the cup pad discussion before. We're not going into it, so let's try it on. Okay, really loving the fit of this top. This has actually been the best fitting top we've had today, so love that. First of all, full coverage. It's hard to find a built-in bra top that isn't like super cleavagey, so I love that this is so covered. Absolutely full coverage. Support is still like low to medium. It's not super high support. Scooping neckline, tank straps, and then we do have that full built-in shelf liner. They have space for cup pads, so I put my own in, and I just appreciate that they put the space for them because I understand specifically for these brands that are not using any synthetic materials that you wouldn't want to be putting padding into your clothing because you're already not using those materials. But knowing that I could still put them in is nice because I do prefer a cup pad. And I don't want to hear anyone say like, oh, like you got mad at like Blogilates for not putting them in, because they're already using like polyester and her other brand had cup pads, so that was like a strange thing to not include them. But for a brand that's like not using that kind of materials, it makes sense that they wouldn't use them. So nuance. Would I still like if there were cup pads included? Yes, but I get it. Anyways, true to size, large bust friendly, great coverage, a little tiny bit of space at the very bottom of it, but it's not like sticking out like the Pact one was. So I definitely feel like this one's fitting better. This is like a waist to cropped length. It's a little bit above waist length, but for most people, this probably would kind of fit just about like this, meeting the top of the leggings. And then the back is full coverage. The only thing I will say is I do feel like this little seam, I feel like the little elastic they put around the stitching at the armpit does feel a little bit tight on my lats. So just keep that in mind. And the last thing is, like the leggings, this material is just like pretty itchy. Like I wasn't expecting this. I was like, oh, merino wool, it's gonna be soft. You know, like it's not like regular wool, but I am feeling uncomfortable in this fabric, and this is like the itchiest material we've had today. So it just like is like literally poking me. I'm like a semi-chafing sensitive person, but this is like getting me. So if you really are someone who's into soft fabrics, I probably would skip. All right, next we have the woolly pocket leggings. I was on a pocket legging kick, I guess. I got a size small, and these were $128. So definitely our most expensive legging of the day, but I know that merino wool is expensive. So again, extra small to extra, extra large. And this is considered a more mid-weight blend of the merino wool. We have a double thickness waistband with a top band. Everyone today has top bands, I guess. Front seam with a triangle gusset. We do have two side pockets, just kind of flat across seams in the back. They did not list the inseam here, but it looks like it's about like 25, 26 inches. And again, quite a few of these little stitching areas that are poking out. So again, for $128, I do feel like the stitching quality should be perfect. So let's try these on. I was really looking forward to these leggings, and they're letting me down a little bit. Again, we're having some sizing issues, and unfortunately their website has one of the worst size charts I've ever seen. I cannot stand when a website gives me the flat lay measurements as a size chart. That's not a size chart. A size chart is what's your waist, hip, thigh, things like that. Not like, oh, when laid flat, it's 10 inches. Like, that is not helpful. So unfortunately, when choosing my size, I just kind of went off of like universally, I'm kind of a size small. I'm very rarely an extra small. Also, the smallest this brand goes to is extra small. And I am not the smallest person, so I just never really feel like I should be the smallest size. If I'm an extra small and that's as small as this gets, we need to expand the size range because I'm just not a tiny person. So anyways, here are the leggings. I could kind of tell on the website too. I feel like a lot of companies, when they just like don't really get leggings the way that they're supposed to, is they do this little top band and then they kind of make the rest of the waistband kind of baggy, and that's what's happening here. So let's start with the front. We have, again, about a mid to high rise. They're all kind of coming up right below the belly button. Honestly, these are probably meant to be a high rise when they fit correctly. So we'll just say high rise. Top band, not cutting into me because it's not really close enough to my body to do so. Double thickness waistband. We do have that front seam. Again, minimal problems. I love these spacious side pockets. They're actually huge side pockets. So really great, very functional there. I'm definitely getting a little bit of fabric in the crotch area as well. So I do think these just run a size too big. In terms of compression, I'm getting kind of low to medium. It does feel like in the areas where it's touching me that it is hugging the body well and it's not super saggy. I just think that's mostly a fit issue. And then we go to the back. I'm just gonna roll the top up a little bit and we can kind of see this issue. And I kind of noticed this when I was holding these up, is it kind of like rounds along the waistband in the back to where it like just like comes up a lot. So if the front is like a high rise, the back is like an ultra high rise. It's just coming up too much. The seams do sit right above the glutes, so just medium on the booty scale, not squishing me down. You will get some cellulite coverage as well. It's a little bit on the thicker side. And then the full length view. These are a 7/8 legging, and they list the specific inseams for each size on the website. So for these, it says it's a 24-inch inseam. So they are going to be 7/8. It gets a little longer as the sizes get bigger though. So just keep that in mind. And lastly, the last thing about these leggings is I've had them on for maybe 5 minutes now, and they are so itchy. Like, I thought these were gonna be soft. Like, I don't know, I felt some merino wool pieces, and I feel like Smart Wool, I wonder if they make leggings. I don't think they did, because they would have probably popped up. They probably make more like base layers, and I feel like that's what these are often are, but I wouldn't want to wear this as a base layer because these are itching like crazy. I honestly feel very uncomfortable. I can't wait to get these off. So yeah, definitely some fit issues with the back of the waistband here. Like, honestly, the front is fine. It just like pouches out in the back, and yeah, just kind of itchy, but the stretch is good. I'm not feeling any restrictions in my movement. So I definitely feel like you could do activity in this, probably a little bit better than the cotton even, but it's just not super comfortable. All right, you can see what I was talking about when holding these up. The front dips down and then the back has a lot of extra fabric that kind of like comes into like an arc at the top that just leads the back area to get really baggy. So I feel like a lot of these brands like are not really legging brands and they're trying to make leggings, and I just feel like they don't put in a lot of effort. In terms of woolly, I was actually pretty disappointed in the squat test. I thought it would be a little bit better, but those cheered out a lot. You could see a lot through it, even for being like a medium to darker color. So unfortunately, I would be hesitant to squat in those at the gym. But the sweat test went very well. It did show a little bit of sweat, but when I was doing the sweat test, kind of squeezing the water through, there was quite a bit of water that came through without actually holding it into the fabric. So I do actually think that the merino wool is kind of sweat wicking, and it also dried a lot faster than the others. So definitely a good material in terms of like the material itself for sweat wicking, but the sheerness definitely needs to be resolved. Then lastly, we have the woolly tank top. This is a size small, $58, and this is more of a layering piece. So I feel like if I'm gonna like anything best from this brand, it'll probably just be a little layering top. This is what merino wool normally is used for, like layering pieces, kind of the second layer above your sports bra. Extra small to XXL, this was $58, and this is about half of the GSM weight compared to the leggings and the other top. So definitely more lightweight. You can actually see through it a little bit more here, but again, it is a layering piece. So scoop neckline, racer back, looks like it's going to be an over the hip full length, and the fabric has a nice marl to it, just has good stretch and breathability. So let's try it on. Okay, here we go with the tank. Way longer than I expected. It's like over the glutes, like over my hips. So very full length. So long that I have to lower my camera. Okay, here we go. In this size, which is a small, I'd say it's body skimming kind of over the bust and over the hips, but a little bit loose in the kind of waist area. So it's kind of a semi-relaxed fit. You can wear it up on the hips a little bit more as well. So I would say overall true to size. I think this fits pretty good for a size small. If you want it to be really tight, I would size down, but I think just having this kind of semi-relaxed fit, it was what they were going for. We have a scooping neckline. It's not showing my sports bra underneath, so pretty good coverage. Here's the view from the side. And then we have the racer back. Again, racer back sports bra hides under it very nicely. Overall, just a very soft, lightweight. It's a semi-sheer, but I'm not really seeing any of my sports bra coloring underneath it. And I just really like this material for a little layering top. So I feel like this one is really good. They probably have this in long sleeves and things as well, but that would be very comfortable too. And the last company we have is Boody, with B-O-O-D-Y. I wanted to try a bamboo based fabric, so that is what this is. A little bit about the brand. They are also a certified B Corp, and they use a bamboo viscose organic cotton spandex blend. So I did some research on bamboo viscose, and it's considered a semi-synthetic fiber because there is a chemical process that turns the raw bamboo into the rayon slash viscose. Those are like kind of interchangeable terms. So bamboo viscose is generally seen as a very breathable fabric. It also is biodegradable. Bamboo viscose takes a little bit longer than the fully natural version. And from what I read, it's seen as maybe not quite as eco-friendly as cotton, but definitely better than something like polyester, nylon. Alternatively, I learned about a fabric called Tencel lyocell, which I've actually seen before, but I never really looked into what it is. But that is considered a natural fiber made from bamboo. So the bamboo viscose is bamboo that's been chemically altered to get to that viscose material, but the bamboo lyocell does not chemically alter the bamboo in order to make the material. It also biodegrades faster. So those are kind of those differences. It wasn't until after I had already bought all these pieces that I did find an activewear brand that makes pieces in the Tencel lyocell, which is a brand called Reprise. So I'll link them down below as well, but I did not get those to try today. Another thing I will say about Boody is that all of their pieces are like 70 to 80% off. So I don't know if they're like no longer going to be making activewear after this or what, but all of these brands today, I don't really think like focus entirely on activewear. They just like have some activewear. Anyways, this is the Motivate Longline bra. I got it in a size small and I paid $14.99. So most affordable of the day. We have kind of a higher neckline here. And like the name suggests, this is a Longline bra. So there's a little seam here and then a double thickness area at the bottom that gives us that Longline portion. There's no band at the bottom of that, so I like that. We do have a racer back, and the whole sports bra is 2 layers of that fabric, but there are no removable cups. So unfortunately, a lot of these bras today, not really super supportive. But again, I don't really think these materials are meant to be super supportive because they probably don't do that great with sweat. I think bamboo viscose does better with sweat than cotton, but we'll do a little sweat test. In terms of the material, it is a 62% bamboo viscose, 26% organic cotton, and 12% elastane. And the material does feel a little bit softer and almost has more of a sleek feeling than the full cotton elastane blends. Here is a close-up of that fabric and has some good stretch to it as well. Okay, best sports bra of the day. By far, it just like, this is what I mean by like a classic style sports bra that just fits well. So true to size, if you're in between, I'd probably size up though, because if anything, it's a little bit snug. We have that long line portion sits basically right under the bust and then extends down the waist a little bit. And like I was saying, there's no bands, so it doesn't cut in at the bottom. It's not always a deal breaker, but I don't love when there's a band at the bottom of the long line, so I like that it's nice and smooth there. Double thickness fabric, again, not going to get any like nippage coverage with that, so you can always like add something underneath the bra, but more support than the others. This one's about a medium support and the coverage is full. We just have the tiniest bit of side boob, but the scooping neckline is pretty raised, just so large bust friendly, full coverage. Then we go to the side. It does cut in on the lats a little bit. I feel like sometimes brands don't realize that I train my back. So I really like when designs cut away from the lats a little bit more. This one is a little bit high, so I'm getting a little bit of cutting in. And then a nice like skinny racer back, just cute little basic style. And again, like the shorts, I feel like the fabric on this one, it has that kind of cotton feel, but it's just a little bit elevated because of the addition of the viscose. Normally a viscose is a very kind of flowy fabric, but it almost is just adding a little like almost sleek feel, a little performance element to a fabric that I feel like wasn't great for performance. So yeah, and this was $15. So that's a win. And then I got the Motivate 8-inch high-waisted shorts. I got a size small, and again, I paid $13.99 for these because they were all on sale. What is it today with these loose strings? I'm getting so many of these little pokey strings. Again, not a huge deal. I just have seen it in every single brand today. So same composition as before. I'll show a close-up of this fabric. It's a little easier to see in this color. It just has like a slightly more sleek feel. Good stretch to it. We have a double thickness waistband with a top band. We do have a front seam and a triangle gusset. Side pockets as well on this one. Just straight across seams in the back. And there's also a hidden waistband pocket at the front as well. So let's try these on. Okay. Very impressed with the fit of these shorts. Everything's just feeling right. So we have a high rise, maybe a little bit, almost ultra high rise. There is the top band, but it's not squeezing me. I do feel like it's kind of like the mate, it's just kind of like making it sit right in the right place. There is a little hidden pocket at the front of the waistband here. Front seam, but actually all of the leggings today have very minimal issues with the front seam, so that's good at least. And the material of this legging is contouring and hugging the body the best out of all of them. It has the most compression. This is about a medium to high compression. Just kind of has this more sleek, more durable feel. And we'll do the sweat test, but it just feels like it's gonna hold up a little bit better. Like it doesn't really feel super cottony, which makes sense because it's not totally cotton, but I just am liking how this is feeling. Very spacious pockets at the side. This is an 8-inch inseam. I believe they also have 5 inches, so they have multiple options, but this one's definitely thick thigh friendly. It goes past the bulk of the thighs and even the thigh area. It's not too tight at the bottom, but it's snug enough that it's staying put. And then in the back, the seams do go above the glutes, and it's compressive, but it doesn't really feel like squishing. So everything today is just getting a medium on the booty scale. It's not really helping the glutes, but it's also not really hurting them. So I do expect a little bit of cellulite coverage as well. The fabric has good compression and just kind of feels a little bit on the thicker side. I am getting a slight sheen to this fabric. We're seeing that on camera. Kind of makes sense because it has a slightly more performance feel. Little logo just at the side there. I like how subtle that is. And I feel like the pockets just are nice and lay nice and flat there. So honestly, this is perfect timing for these shorts because hopefully they're not all sold out by the time I post about this. These shorts for $15 is an amazing deal. I don't know again, if they're like clearing out their activewear for some reason, but yeah, I think these are definitely a good fit. For Boody, the sweat and squat test. For the squat, I was kind of disappointed given how dark of a color it was that it did sheer out a good amount, but I still think it's okay with nude underwear. And the sweat was pretty good. It wasn't quite as good as the woolly. It definitely showed a little bit less than the other full cotton brands, but the area itself definitely felt like it was drying off. So I do think there's a little bit of a sweat wicking quality there. Okay guys, that is it for the natural fiber leggings. I told you guys to keep your hopes low. And sometimes I feel bad doing these full reviews and like not really liking anything, but I'm not gonna give something my stamp of approval just because it's made of sustainable materials. Everyone is going to have their pros and cons list, the things that are important to them in activewear. So if things like sheerness and sweat don't really bother you, you might like some options today. I definitely think the mate leggings were the best fitting and just overall had the best construction. The Pact and the woolly, I wasn't really loving how those fit me in the waist. And the Boody was actually pretty good as well, but they are semi-synthetic. So again, lots of pros and cons to go through, but I think we know there's a reason why activewear is generally not made out of cotton. It shears out, so it's not good for leaning over regular gym activities. It holds onto water, so it's not good for sweating. So it really just doesn't make for a great fabric for the gym. I wanted to make this video to try these out and give you guys all the information if natural fiber activewear is something you've been looking for. But personally, I'm not going to be switching to wearing any of these at the gym anytime soon. But I definitely think that natural fiber clothing is something that more people are looking for. So there's a gap in the market, people, for actually good natural fiber activewear that isn't insanely sheer and doesn't hold onto a bunch of sweat. It just doesn't have ill-fitting designs. So we maybe need to revisit this topic at some point when better options come out. But for now, I'm not truly loving any of these. If you guys have any video suggestions, leave a comment down below. This was something you guys suggested. So I do keep track of things that people ask. When I get a lot of requests, I eventually get around to it. Jing, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!